Check out reparationsnowdoc.com. Go to reparationsnowdoc.com to get all access footage and watch the theatrical release at the same time. That's the Reparations Now documentary.
The Reparations Now documentary is also available for viewing at Tubi TV.
etnmediagroupstore.com. Go to etnmediagroupstore.com for all the Reparations Now Cut the Check Policy Over Party merch.
And for all your Amazon shopping needs, please access the ETM Amazon affiliate link. Just click on that link that you see there, also in the description before you do all your Amazon shopping. A way to help ETM out doing what you love to do anyway.
All right. 2024 Reparations Manifestation Planner is out. Go to Amazon.com to get your 2024 Manifestations Reparations Now Cut the Check Planner.
And don't forget to use that ETM Amazon affiliate link when ordering your planners.
If you have yet to see and watch the Freeman's Bank Forum, you can watch it right here on Emin the Mass Media Group page. That's at Emin Mass Media Group. That was held October 25th, 2023.
Okay, so what we are here for in the news for the week of November 3rd. It is November 3rd. Let's get started. All right, so our good brother out here in Sacramento, California, Stevante Clark, was hospitalized after a heart attack. I've never stopped fighting for Stefan, and many of you may know Stefan is Stevante Clark's brother that was murdered by police brutality out here in the Sacramento area. Stevante Clark, the older brother of Stefan Clark, was hospitalized late Wednesday after he suffered a mild heart attack, he said from his hospital bed Thursday. Clark, 30, said he fainted, suffered a concussion, and had irregular rapid heart rate in an interview with the Sacramento Bee. He said he was told he has the heart of a 60-year-old. Quote, I honestly don't believe you're doing the work correctly if you don't end up in the hospital if you don't have heart issues, end quote, Clark said in the phone call. Clark became an unspoken advocate for his family in the aftermath of his brother's death, who was shot by Sacramento police who mistook his cell phone for a gun in March 2018. In the months after the shooting, Clark gained notoriety for standing on the dais at the Sacramento City Council meeting, appearing on national news broadcasts, and working alongside civil rights advocates such as Al Sharpton. So yes, good thing it sounds like Stefan is, on the upswing in the hospital, and ashe to his brother Stefan, who was, like I said, untimely death due to police brutality here in Sacramento.
Yeah, definitely speedy recovery, Stevante, and ashe to his brother Stefan.
Right, and I mean, he is right about this advocacy work, and I can just imagine when you're advocating for the death of a loved one. I mean, even doing this reparations advocacy work can be a very heavy lift, so we all need to protect our health when we're doing this heavy work.
Absolutely. Student protesters walk out of Hillary Clinton's class at Columbia. The action was in protest of what they had perceived as the school's role in publicly shaming students who had signed a statement saying that the Israeli extremist government bore responsibility for the war. Nearly 300 students were seated at Columbia University on Wednesday afternoon for a 2-hour lecture on women's involvement in peace processes delivered by Hillary Clinton and Karen Yarrow Milo, the dean of Columbia's School of International and Public Affairs. Not even halfway through the class, about 30 students stood up and gathered their computers and backpacks as part of a planned student walkout. They joined several dozen other protesters congregating in the lobby of the building. The demonstrators, who sat quietly in a common area in the International Office building, many of them in face masks, were protesting what they perceived as the school's role in publicly shaming students whose photographs appeared last week on the video screen panels on a truck seen near campus. The screen showed the faces of students beneath the words, quote, Columbia's leading anti-Semites, end quote. The students said the photographs were taken from a private and secure online platform for students at the School of International and Public Affairs. They demanded immediate legal support for affected students and a commitment to student safety, well-being, and privacy. The students whose images appeared on the video panels were members of groups that had signed a statement about the war in the Middle East that said, in part, the weight of responsibility for the war and casualties undeniably lies with the Israeli extremist government. As Dr. Milo and Miss Clinton's class was finishing around 4 p.m., the demonstrators shushed themselves into silence, anticipating that the dean and the former secretary of state would soon walk past the gathered students. That time never came. Word spread that Dr. Milo and Mrs. Clinton had left the building through a side door. A spokeswoman for Columbia said the university had no comment. The protest came the day after the school announced a new task force on doxing and student safety.
That's definitely doxing, and the fact that they, cowardly left through a back door. They didn't even want to face the people that they're doxing.
There you go. Speaking of cowardice.
Yeah. Suspect wanted in Brooklyn double murder of father and son killed in confrontation with police. This is an update from Wednesday, November 1st. A man wanted in connection to a double murder in East Flatbush was shot and killed during a confrontation with police on Wednesday morning. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition where he later died of his injuries. Jason Pass, 47, was wanted in a double fatal shooting of a father and son in Brooklyn Sunday night. Pass was being sought in the murder of the residents in an upstairs apartment. He was identified from surveillance video recovered by police that shows the entire shooting. Family members identified the victim as 47-year-old Vladimir Mathurin and his 27-year-old son, Chinwai Mode. Officials said they attempted to pull Pass's vehicle over just after 7 a.m. Wednesday after a license plate reader indicated the car was connected to the case. When police approached the parked vehicle, they say he jumped out of the car with a knife in his hand. Once officers caught up with him, they talked for 15 minutes to convince the suspect to drop the knife. Police said the suspect charged at the officers, who then fired their weapons in defense. The suspect was shot 3 times in the chest and once in the right leg. So it appears that the threat to society was neutralized. But you live by the gun, so they say. And there is a video out there. You can find it on the interwebs. Twitter was a place to view the video. We decided against it here at ETM Media because it is distressing.
Absolutely. All right. I won't be the last. Captain Ramoshe Nelson is a history-making Thunderbird. Captain Ramoshe Nelson is a proud Georgian Howard University alumni, a U.S. Air Force public affairs officer, and the first Black woman to be a United States Air Force Thunderbird. As a young girl, she had no idea that she would one day inspire thousands. When Nelson joined the Air Force, she learned the history of the famed squadron she would eventually join. When a spot opened up on the highly selective team, Captain Nelson didn't know if she would make the cut. I doubted myself at first. I said, I don't know if I'm good enough to be on the team. I wasn't quite sure if they'd accept someone like me. I had not seen a lot of people that looked like me on the team, so I was a bit nervous. I didn't know the statistics or anything like that at the time. I just knew that what I had seen was not something that looked like me, and so it was a bit intimidating at first. Everyone was super encouraging. The article goes on. In her role, Nelson hopes to show young girls that they can fly as high as their young minds can imagine. Quote, I just happen to be the first African American female officer on this team, which is a very unique position for me overall. But also, I think it's an opportunity to show young girls who look like me what they could actually become. My hope is that while I have been labeled a first, I won't be the last. This actually was an older article written on or in 2021, but I came across my timeline somewhere, so I wanted to see if we can definitely highlight um, the sister and her accomplishment as a Thunderbird.
Yes, yes. And sis Nelson, you are definitely good enough. This is definitely an inspiring article. And it would be interesting. You say that this article is from 2021 to see if they've had any new African American female enrollees into the program. In other news, column demeaning Black people sparks Bronx Community Board demotion vote. An offensive newspaper column and an unapologetic, quote, apology, end quote, could lead to a rare shakeup on a Bronx Community Board. Bronx Community Board 11 members voted 20 to 7 on Thursday to move forward with a full board vote on November 21st that would create a committee to consider demoting Vice Chair Albert D. Angelo and Chair Bernadette Fiera. The vote will come months after D'Angelo, who is Italian American, penned a Bronx Times article in his capacity as president of the Morris Park Community Association, quote, to address the elephant in the room, end quote, as he put it. He declared Black people, quote, the least educated, least healthy, poorest, and among the most incarcerated groups in this country, end quote, who, as a result of social programs which make people dependent on government handouts, are mostly living a day to day existence with no vision for the future. The column published in April argued the Black community has only itself to blame for the largely failing to achieve the American dream rather than American racism, since, quote, if that were true, how were the slaves freed? And how were Black Americans given the right to vote? And how did we elect a Black president? End quote. So, I mean, I don't know why it takes to develop a whole special committee just to vote on whether he should be demoted or not. This guy should be terminated immediately, effective immediately.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't, you know how they say about good intentions.
Good.
Um,
Where are the good intentions? Where?
well, I mean, I don't know. What I'm saying is, like, I don't know if he was, by saying the least educated, the least healthy, poorest, and among the most incarcerated groups in the country, just taking that statement is not necessarily um I guess
It's not
statistically
necessarily
wrong.
inaccurate, right?
Yeah,
Inaccurate, but when he goes on to say that, it's their own fault, that's I think where it becomes problematic.
that's yeah, that's where he starts, right, going backwards. That's when you start moonwalking.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's the issue. I mean, he
Mhm.
didn't he didn't follow up with something like, solution. So what do we do about this? You know what I mean? We need to make sure that reparations are paid, which obviously he probably wouldn't say that, but something
No,
of to that effect.
he didn't say that at all. And that's why I included a source link to the article for anybody who's interested in looking at his full statements. But he really, what he went on to say is that, other groups, LGBT, other minorities have been discriminated against and are able to pull themselves up by their
Mm,
bootstraps. So
yeah, that whole
that's
bootstrap
his,
thing.
yeah, that's his belief on the situation. So,
All right. Well, kick rocks. All right. Empty office buildings that transform into urban farms, schools, hotels, and more. Over the past few years, the number of Americans working fully remote or hybrid schedules has increased, and with the rise in remote workers and digital nomads, more office buildings are empty and staying that way. Reports show nearly 20% of office spaces are currently vacant in the United States, and in certain major cities like Dallas, San Francisco, and Houston, those figures are over 25%. So, what can be done with all that unused real estate? Question. Well, as some with visionary mindsets will tell you, a lot. In certain instances, vacant offices provide a foundation for something new without starting from scratch. This concept is known as adaptive reuse, which is described by Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the quote, renovation and reuse of pre existing structures such as warehouses for new purposes, end quote. The article goes on. As 2018 American Institute of Architects President Carl Elephant said, the greenest building is one that is already built. Here are some examples of former offices and factories that have been transformed into new hubs for gardening, relaxing, learning, and living, all the while providing evidence of the beauty in old bones. A paper facility turned into a farm in Arlington, Virginia. Federal workplace turned into a spa out in Alexandria, Virginia. Office building turned into a school in Falls Church. I don't know where that is. Virginia, I believe. Garment factory turned into a vertical farm in Brooklyn, New York. Newspaper building turned into a hotel in Portland, Maine. A warehouse turned into a hotel in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, actually. An office building turned into a apartment complex in San Francisco, California, and a candy factory turned into a hotel in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
okay, those are some innovative uses. Hopefully, they're able to make use of that space.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and for our people that listen to us, watch our channel, we have very intelligent individuals, I believe, that, or at least individuals that want to stay informed. So when we bring these ideas and concepts to you, we're not here just telling you about these concepts. Like, think about the future of your community. Think about the future, you know, of how you would like to see, you know, uh, freedmen, if you want to call it, descendants. Like, what do you think, our communities could look like? What could we take advantage of? So always be thinking, family. So when we bring you these articles, we're not just doing it just to be doing it, right? I probably won't say that again, but I just to make note of it. So anyway.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We need to be thinking about because at a local level, it's going to impact you. So when your local officials and representatives are talking about space of this use, if you've already thought about it and you can uh, present them with your ideas, maybe one of your ideas will become a reality. And I know during the reparations task force, there was a lot of talk about they're going to be closing some jail facilities out here in California. There was a lot of talk about repurposing some of those facilities for use. Um, related to our reparations out here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I think our good brother Reggie Romaine was. I think he might even have brought that up during the task force hearing. I don't know if
Yeah,
he did or maybe one of the task force members, but I know it was definitely mentioned.
yeah, it was mentioned at least a couple of times. All right. And out here, well, not out here, but Texas state rep says he has no regrets about the viral outburst over anti-immigrant bill. And I clipped this from article from a publication called Delos, which is actually a division of the Los Angeles Times, newly created division specifically for Hispanic issues in the Los Angeles Times. So Delos translation would be,
You asking me?
yeah, you're the one who speaks
Well,
Spanish
that's
now.
hilarious. Day I think means of, and los is like it's like I don't know what the term is off the top of my head, but like the I think I don't know. I could be wrong. So like of the I don't know. I don't know what Delos means to be honest with you. So go figure.
Well, when you see it moving forward, know that it is a division of the Los Angeles Times, again, focused on Hispanic
Or
issues.
maybe Los might be stand for short for Los Angeles. Maybe
Possibly in
I don't
this
know.
case, yeah. So of
I don't
Los Angeles.
maybe I that's my best guess, but don't ever quote me.
Okay. All right. So let's get into it. Y'all don't live our Efskin life, our Efskin. That's what the Texas state rep Armando Wale, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, told his friend and fellow representative Cody Harris, a Republican who made a motion to cut off debate on HB4, a bill that would empower law enforcement officers in Texas to deport people who they suspect are in the U.S. without legal documentation. House Bill 4, Wall said, quote, gives all the power, discretion to the police officer to then determine if somebody is here undocumented, end quote. The bill's passage came early Thursday morning after Republicans on the House floor moved to block additional amendments, a rare approach to cut debate short. And I believe we have the actual video to go along with that so we can see the exchange.
Being attacked on a daily basis.
They can't
I've
stand
been
on this
sitting
bill.
there my whole time listening to y'all mother. It pisses me off. None of y'all know this shit, bro. You're my friend, man.
All
I
these
love
cowards.
you, but this hurts. The shit that happens on this
Right.
Cowards.
hurts. I can't go hang out with my. I can't drive. My brother, my cousin. Okay, I
All
can't
these
take them
cowards.
anywhere, bro. I can't go to a border. I can't go to a baptism because my community is being attacked. Y'all don't understand what y'all do hurts our community. It hurts us personally, bro.
Could you just let us
It
debate
hurts
it?
us.
Just let us debate it.
It hurts us more. And y'all don't understand that. Y'all don't live in our skin. Y'all don't, man. And that's what pisses me off. I sit there. I've been a good to him.
That's right.
To my own detriment.
That's right.
To my own detriment. And to cut off debate when all of our members are trying to have a debate, a civil debate. Nobody's gotten crazy. We're just trying to have a debate. Let the chips fall where they may. We know where the bill's going.
Yeah, we know.
Let us debate what we need to debate. Let us blow some steam. But that's I've been here 16 years. I've never seen that shit.
Cowards.
The person co-signing in the back.
I know, right? Straight co-signing.
I mean, I guess there's nothing to debate. I mean, there's nothing to debate. We need to know who's coming into this country. We need to know who's legal. And there, I mean, there's an invasion at the border right now. He's talking to the wrong people, in my opinion. He should be talking to his Chicano brethren that are illegally invading U.S. borders and saying, hey, you're making it more difficult for us that are over here legally. How about you guys get your affairs in order before attempting to come to the US? So,
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole idea that people need to come over, get their paperwork straight,
right,
before coming to the country. I mean,
exactly. He needs to
you
be,
know,
like I said, talking to the people who are coming over illegally and say, hey, you're making it harder for the ones of us that are here legally. Y'all need to just get your affairs in order before trying to come to America. And then we have a Cadillac Black on Twitter also had a comment, said, go back home and get your politics straight instead of jumping into ours. And by the way, finding out you're not white is a whole slap in the face. So now, some of these policies that have historically been enacted against black freedmen are being implemented for other purposes. But like I said, this is an illegal invasion that we're facing. So something's got to be done. And I think we
yeah,
have
it's tricky.
a video regarding migrant situation in Chicago. Is it? It's a
Yeah,
big problem.
let's play it.
Hereby call a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Chicago to determination if Chicago should continue to keep its designation as a sanctuary city.
Is unconstitutional, this is inhumane, and to come here and to continue to see more Hispanics and Latinos get jobs than blacks here is a disrespect. It's a punch in the face. You want us to continue to understand and see the problem, but y'all don't see the problem in the black culture.
When you look at what the city is dealing with, we're spending, when we had 12,000 migrants, we were spending $31 million a month at that time. We have 20,000 migrants today. When you look at what else is happening in this country, we have other democratic cities, Denver, California, LA, sending their people to Chicago, New York. They're sending their migrants to Chicago. Why? Because they're saying we can't take anymore. Sanctuary city, a welcoming ordinance says nothing about we have to provide services and goods. Say whether or not the people of Chicago want to remain a sanctuary city or not. Thank you.
Intentionally disenfranchising 3 black aldermen right now.
Right now, we have 2 choices. We can either adjourn or recess. The chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
Madam President, forgive me, but we actually have 3 choices, and I move for the selection of a new temporary presiding officer of this meeting.
Yeah, so if anybody hasn't seen it, it should be on somewhere on the social media. It's probably on YouTube. I think it was, what was that, NBC or ABC 5 or something like that? I can't remember. Anyway, you can go look for it. It was basically a session that they held to see if they want to continue with the migration ordinance or something like that. But it was pretty wild, though. It was pretty wild.
I think you sent me the YouTube link, so maybe you can put that in the description.
All right, yeah, maybe I'll do that.
For this program today. But as you can see, people are being inundated with the illegal immigrants, and it's unsustainable. So something has to be done about it. Armando Wale.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just really unfair to American citizens, and in particular Black Americans. I mean, we've been
Because they're coming to
disenfranchised.
they're putting them in our
Yeah,
communities.
yeah. I mean, historically, that's just what has happened. I mean, predominantly. Not saying that people who've come to this country hasn't gone on to the other communities, white communities, etc. But like predominantly, you see them in the Black communities. They quote unquote integrate, with where American Blacks are. So it becomes a problem, especially when you're trying to like build community and have a stable environment, and then you have to deal with not only a lack of resource, right, but then when you see others like literally building like businesses, like, shops. I mean, you see it with your own eyes. You're just like, whoa,
We have a
what
taco.
happened to the local
We
government?
have a taco stand on every corner in Sacramento now, and I even think it's unfair to the local Mexican restaurants. I'm like, look at all these restaurants with their parking lots empty, and we have a taco stand, probably illegals on every single corner. So yeah, it's just not fair. It's unsustainable, and
Well,
there
let's
needs
just say alleged illegals, because we don't know if they're
well.
legal or not. But let's just say alleged.
Mm, okay. All right. I've dealt with them firsthand, but okay. So, we'll move on. Sacramento NAACP's future uncertain after revelations of alleged financial misconduct. The immediate future of the Sacramento chapter of the NAACP is an open question days after revelations of alleged financial misconduct removed top brass last week. Local and national NAACP leaders were mute Monday following the suspensions of Greater Sacramento chapter President Betty Williams and 5 branch executives for alleged financial improprieties on October 23rd. Adrell Lamond Harrison, the Sacramento chapter's first vice president, has assumed the role of interim president with the temporary ouster of Williams, a chapter spokesperson said. Adrell Lamond Harrison, the Sacramento chapter's first vice president, I think I read that part. Moving on. The suspensions come after national NAACP staffers flagged the local branch's annual financial report submitted in April. The allegations of financial impropriety were described as, quote, extensive, end quote, in information obtained by the Sacramento Bee. This led to the immediate suspension of Williams, the lauded civil rights advocate and longest serving president in the history of the Sacramento NAACP. 5 other executive officers, including treasurers, a second vice president, and committee chairs, are also suspended. So I believe, people are contesting this. It's a story, a developing story. We'll have to, keep our eye on this for updates. But I will say about, Miss Betty Williams that she has been supportive of our reparations efforts here in Sacramento, attending meetings, promoting meetings, etc. Also at the last task force meeting here in Sacramento back in June. So she has been supportive in that regard. Again, we'll just have to keep an eye on this developing story.
Yep.
Okay, so that's it on this story. I think you had some stock market updates for us.
Yeah, so let's check out the stock market, see what's going on. This was as of yesterday, 11/2. See what's going on with it. Dow jumps more than 550 points for best day since June as bond yields recede. Stocks gained yesterday, Thursday, as Treasury yields fell, with investors betting the Federal Reserve could be done raising rates for 2023. The Dow Jones Industrial Average traded 564.5% higher, or 1.7%, to settle at 33,000, garnering its best day since June. The S&P 500 added 1.89% and closed at 4,000 for its best day since April. It was also the first time the S&P 500 posted back-to-back gains of more than 1% since February. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 1.78% and settled at 13,000, marking its best session since July. Bond yields declined, with the 10-year Treasury yield dropping by about 12 basis points to 4%. That comes after the benchmark yield topped 5% last month. Data released Thursday morning showed easing inflation and a slowing labor market, adding to investor confidence that the Federal Reserve could be done raising rates. Labor costs unexpectedly dropped in the third quarter, the Labor Department said Thursday, and weekly jobless claims ticked higher to 217,000. Yeah, well, there goes the Dow for those who are actually people that invest in the stock market.
You check them Robinhood accounts.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, might have a come up on that Robinhood.
Little penny here or there. I will say though this, the access to the stock market is a lot better than it was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, you can actually, buy parts of shares, at one point.
Well, that's been going on
you
for a
couldn't buy
long
anything.
time. That's not true. That's been going on for a while. I remember maybe you're right. Parts of shares. I bought one little old share in of Disney many years ago, but it really hasn't yielded much results.
You ain't got wealthy off of that yet.
Not yet. Yeah. And speaking of yielding no results, we've got a story here on Clarence Thomas that just came out in the news Friday, November 3rd, today. Two prominent conservative judges have quashed an investigation into their former clerk and friend of Clarence Thomas for texting, "I hate Black people." The federal courts have spiked an investigation into racist text messages sent by conservative activist turned law clerk who got jobs working alongside two federal judges with the full-throated support of Clarence Thomas. In 2015 and 2016, Crystal Clanton was a key leader at Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's youth-oriented conservative nonprofit. She got a picture with Donald Trump's sons, mobilized high school activists, and trashed liberal academics in an appearance on Fox News. It all came crashing down when the New Yorker reported in 2017 that she had texted a friend, quote, and this is in all caps, "I hate Black people, like F-U-C them all," end quote. And I kept believing this article interjection that they just spelled it all out. No asterisks or anything. The existence of the text sent when she was in college was confirmed by the Washington Post in 2022. After her exile, Clanton attended law school and even lived for some time with Clarence and Gina Thomas. She also landed clerkships with two federal judges, Judge Corey Mays, a federal district judge in Alabama, and Judge William Pryor, an influential appellate judge. Last year, a federal judicial planner ordered that an investigation take place into whether Clanton actually sent the text, but according to an October 31st decision, Pryor and Mays successfully argued that the The panel didn't have the authority to order an investigation. The article later goes on to say the closest Canton has ever come to apologizing or acknowledging the test was in a New Yorker article. Quote, I have no recollection of these messages and they do not reflect what I believe or who I am, and the same was true when I was a teenager, end quote. She told writer Jane Mayer. In parentheses, they put that she was 20 years old at the time she sent the text. So 20 years old, obviously old enough to know better. And like they said, Clarence was in full throated support of this woman, and she even lived with him for a while. I mean, I think it's because they hold the same beliefs. Clarence Thomas don't like black people either, apparently. So, I mean, there's really no surprises here.
Yeah, at first I thought that this article was going to be on his current situation. I think he's getting investigated about his past dealings with, I don't know, some multimillionaire, maybe even a billionaire.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not. Which is what it is anyway. But yeah, he's looking real suspect in this picture, to say the least. Why you frowning, man? Anyway.
But see, the takeaway from this article is so they find that there's no authority to investigate. She's obviously holding these high positions where they're determining people's fate and black people's fate, and she clearly states that she don't like black people, so she should not be in positions where she's has any authority to have any input over their fates, is what I'm saying. This is what we deal with at the highest courts in the land, unfortunately. She'll probably be a judge next.
Yeah, go back to the article.
Because she's facing no repercussions.
Launched clerkships with 2 federal judges. Okay.
Yeah, probably the 2 guys in the picture there. So yeah, she's on her way to an affluent career, and like I said, she'll probably be a lifelong judge soon.
All right, how this tiny Greek isle of Tylos became the world's first zero-waste island. Tylos accomplished this monumental feat in early July after 2 years of efforts by local authorities and community members with support from Polygreen, a waste management company that focuses on green solutions, per a Mission Zero Academy press release. Before the Just Go Zero Tylos project began, the island had already received designation as a national park and achieved energy sufficiency with renewables such as solar and wind, according to Positive News and Yale Climate Connections. Still, trash was a significant issue. The island has about 350 residents, but the population more than doubles during the summertime when visitors flock to its serene beaches and historic villages. In 2021, the community sent 87% of its waste to a local landfill, which, due to the lack of an efficient sorting system and a growing tourism industry, prompted authorities to consider expanding it. Instead, the municipality, with help from Polygreen, began working toward an eco-friendlier future by educating residents about waste production and sorting. They limited trash bins and instead provided each household with containers for compost, recyclable, and non-recyclable waste, and implemented a door-to-door collection system. In addition, households received personalized QR codes to help sort, track, and log their contributions via a smartphone app. Visitors also do their part and receive instructions on waste management during their stay, according to a video from the World Economic Forum. Today, Tylos has achieved a nearly 90% recycling and compositing rate, one of the highest in the world. No trash bins are on the island, and the Center for Circular Innovation has replaced the landfill, which is being cleaned up. The new facility includes a compositing section and 15 sorting mechanisms per Balkan Green Energy News. Items that aren't compositable, recyclable, or repairable are transformed into raw materials for fuel, construction, and creative projects. Besides beautifying the community, the initiative has created new jobs in sustainable tourism, agriculture, and energy. Talos Mayor Maria Kama Alaferi Kama told Positive News.
Sounds like a very efficient system. And the fact that, it's creating new jobs also sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, take note. I mean, once again, we have AI coming on board. We have all these automation things. I mean, so there are creative ways to create jobs, to keep the economy going. If that's, what the system will be living under, I don't see it changing anytime soon. And I'm specifically talking about capitalism, that if we still want to live in this capitalistic world, I should say, then we do have options.
Yeah, I mean, it would take, everybody's participation, the residents, obviously this is a bit more work for them, having to download an app and do the sorting and not having a trash bin. But, it's for the betterment of the environment. The picture sure looks pretty.
Yeah.
All right, so this Sunday, it looks like Politics in Black is back for their programming, beginning their programming series. Looks like they'll have special guests. Camilla Moore, the chair of the California Reparations Task Force, that has now disbanded, as you know. It looks like the title here is Where Do We Go From Here as far as our reparations? Chris Lodgen, the president of CJEC, is also going to be a guest on the show. So if you're looking for the latest, greatest updates on reparations in California, you definitely want to tune in. I believe we'll have a link to the show in our description here. So go ahead and click on that. Hit the bell for notifications and tune in.
Absolutely. Wish them nothing but the best over there in Politics in Black.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, so I guess that's it for In the News.
Yeah, that's going to do it for In the News this week, but be sure to join us each and every week for In the News so we can keep up with what's going on in this society.
Absolutely. But before we do go, remember Sundays at 10 a.m. This week, we actually put in the community tab that we're actually taking a break this weekend, but we should be back the following week. So outside of that, check us out Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard, right here on the Mass Media Group.
Be sure to hit the bell for all notifications so you never miss a program from ETM.
Absolutely. So on that note, peace and reparations, and we'll see you that next time. And that is In the News.
In the News. All right, so that's done.